is a branch of alchemy focused on the preparation, purification, and transformation of plant-based medicines. Rooted in the teachings of Paracelsus, 1493 to 1541, it combines herbalism, alchemical principles, and spiritual philosophy to create potent medicinal extracts. The word Spagyria comes from the Greek spao, to separate, and agiro, to reunite, reflecting its core process of breaking down a substance, purifying its essential components, and recombining them to enhance their healing properties. The three principles of Spagyria. Spagyria is based on the alchemical trinity of salt, sulphur, and mercury, which correspond to different aspects of a plant. Salt, the fixed, mineral body, extracted through calcination. Sulphur, the soul or essential oils, extracted through distillation. Mercury, the spirit or alcohol, fermented and distilled from the plant. By extracting and purifying these three elements, Spagyric practitioners create tinctures, elixirs, and essences that are believed to work on physical, energetic, and spiritual levels. Spagyric preparation process. Fermentation. The plant is fermented to produce alcohol, the mercury principle. Distillation. Essential oils, sulphur, are extracted. Calcination. The plant matter is burned to obtain mineral salts, salt. Recombination. The purified salt, sulphur, and mercury are reunited to create a more potent remedy. Why use Spagyric remedies? Spagyric preparations are believed to be more bioavailable and spiritually attuned than standard herbal extracts. Practitioners claim that they work holistically, addressing not just physical symptoms but also emotional and energetic imbalances. Spagyria is a fascinating blend of alchemy, herbalism, and holistic healing with deep philosophical and practical roots. Let's break it down further into its history, methodology, and applications. Paracelsus, 1493 to 1541, a Swiss physician and alchemist who challenged the medical theories of his time. He believed that nature contained a divine intelligence and that plants could be prepared in a way that unlocked their full healing potential. Unlike conventional herbalism, which uses simple infusions or decoctions, Spagyria applies alchemical techniques to extract and purify a plant's essence. The tradition draws on ancient Hermetic principles, which see the material world as a reflection of higher spiritual realities. Spagyric medicine was part of Renaissance-era iatrochemistry, early medical chemistry, blending science, mysticism, and healing into a single discipline. Spagyric methodology, alchemical principles in medicine. Spagyria operates on the three alchemical principles, salt, sulphur, and mercury, which exist in all living things. Salt, corpus, the body, represents the physical, structural aspect of a plant, extracted by burning the plant material to obtain purified mineral salts. In medicine, salt is associated with grounding and structural support for the body. Sulphur, anima, the soul, corresponds to the plant's essential oils and active constituents. Extracted through steam distillation or maceration in alcohol, it carries the signature or healing intelligence of the plant. Mercury, spiritus, the spirit, symbolizes the life force, often represented by alcohol, obtained through the fermentation of the plant, which produces ethanol. Acts as the solvent that binds salt and sulphur together. By purifying these three elements separately and recombining them, Spagyric medicine is believed to create a more potent and bioavailable remedy that works on multiple levels: physical, energetic, and spiritual. A full Spagyric preparation involves fermentation. The plant is fermented to produce alcohol, mercury. Distillation. Essential oils and volatile compounds, sulphur, are separated. Calcination. The remaining plant material is burned to white ash to extract minerals, salt. Purification. The salt is washed and purified before being recombined with the distilled mercury and sulphur. Cohibation. The final mixture is aged or cycled through further purification. Steps, sometimes following planetary influences for optimal potency. While traditional herbal tinctures only extract certain plant compounds, usually water and alcohol-soluble constituents, Spagyrics aim to preserve the full spectrum of a plant's medicine, including its minerals and subtle energetic properties. This makes Spagyric remedies more potent and holistic. Spagyria is used in various fields, including herbal medicine, creating potent plant-based remedies; homeopathy and energetic healing. Some practitioners use Spagyric tinctures to address emotional or energetic imbalances. Alchemy and esotericism used in spiritual practices to align the body with natural and cosmic forces. Astrological medicine, some Spagyric preparations are timed with astrological cycles to enhance their potency. Modern-day Spagyria. Although Spagyria is an ancient practice, it has seen a resurgence among herbalists, naturopaths, and alchemists interested in holistic healing. Many modern practitioners follow traditional methods while incorporating new scientific insights into plant chemistry. It seems appropriate to ponder on what alchemy might be, and how this pondering can lead us to spiritual progress. At this point, it is perhaps easier to describe what alchemy is not, rather than what it is. From a material point of view, alchemy is neither chemistry nor hyperchemistry, but a biodynamic process more closely related to fermentation or putrefaction than to classical chemical reactions. Alchemy leads to a profound knowledge of the fundamental mechanisms of nature, yet is contrary to profane science, which only considers the material aspect of these mechanisms. Alchemy considers the spiritual aspect as well, which is generally invisible to the sensory perception of the operator. This aspect of alchemical study brings the operator to spiritual progress, to a higher level of consciousness. The duality of this method of spiritual advancement has a great advantage over other methods. Spiritual advancement makes one high, but, in order to accomplish the work, the alchemist must remain grounded. He becomes aware of higher realities while he keeps in mind the significance of physical manifestations. Necessity of personal spiritual progress. As we shall see in the theoretical part, an alchemist cannot be an atheist. He must be a spiritual being. Whatever the nature of his belief, religion, and esoteric method or personal doctrine, it is important for him to start each working cycle, whether meditative or experimental, with an invocation and close tea with a prayer of thanks to God, the cosmos, unity, the great architect, the divine or spiritual conception which he chooses in his heart. The second item which should be well understood, and which shall be discussed, is the goal the alchemist sets for himself. It must concern his personal spiritual growth only. Thinking of faraway metallic transmutations in the aim to help others is not an excuse, nor is it an apology to the infinite. The faculty of transmutation is the reward for personal spiritual growth, but gold would not help anybody in this world if the infinite did not allow it. It is better to understand what unity has in mind for you before you get involved in what is good for others. We wish to warn you that the law of our country forbids individuals who do not belong to the medical profession to prescribe any product with the aim to cure or heal another individual. Thus, do not consider producing elixirs to cure others. To avoid temptations in this matter, we do not give the means that would permit production of the elixirs, at least in the beginning. Their very manufacture is part of a knowledge of nature and a means to spiritual development. At first, one should seek personal spiritual development. If one doesn't possess a certain mastery, how could one imagine helping others? There is a sacred selfish principle which requires one to personally advance first before one thinks of helping others advance. However good our intention may be, if we do not follow this principle, we risk helping others to move backwards rather than forwards. Let's start with the differences between chemistry and alchemy. In chemistry, if you have the right ingredients and if operations are correctly performed, success will be achieved, independently of the operator. In alchemy, even if you have the right ingredients and if operations are properly conducted, success is not necessarily achieved because it depends upon the personal state of the operator. In a very restrictive sense, alchemy could be viewed as the parapsychology of chemistry, for the success of the operation depends upon the inner spiritual state of the operator. This statement is even more accurate as we progress into the hierarchy of alchemical works and operations. Therefore, for a rational outset, start with the simplest operations. Attempt the minor work before you approach the major work. The second difference between chemistry and alchemy is also very important. Chemistry doesn't view the bodies it works with as alive. As a matter of fact, the processes are such that chemistry only deals with dead bodies which, of course, can't evolve. Conversely, alchemy is a biodynamic system which uses the forces of life in its operations. A threefold work is accomplished on bodies. The effects are purification, regeneration, and evolution. The most powerful principles are found in the forces of fecundation and reproduction, and from these they will be extracted in order to be used. But if this operation seems possible in the vegetable realm, the extraction of the metallic semen, or sperm, known only by a few adepts, is considered a utopian venture by most. The alchemist or the skilled artist can and must accomplish, through physical material, the manipulation of the divine, spiritual and invisible components which are in beings and things, the genuine elements of life. Another difference between the chemist and the alchemist lies in the desired goal of each operation. To succeed, one must obey the laws of nature, but the alchemist must also, in his work, align himself with the designs of nature. It is obvious in view of the last statement that the vegetable realm is more easily perceivable than the metallic realm or the mineral realm, and that, in the vegetable domain, an experience of appreciation of the level of psychic development and of the levels of attained consciousness doesn't incur risk and may be an experience that bring about growth. As a conclusion to this section, here are 3 adages related to alchemical and spagyric work. I accelerate the process of nature by never stepping out of its rules. I remove the obstacles which prevent nature from acting spontaneously. I strive to help nature in the work of universal reintegration. The next lesson will describe a simple and interesting experiment which will enable you to approach and attempt to understand some basic principles. In order to perform this operation, you will need a few utensils and ingredients which are listed below. 200 to 300 grams 7 to 10.5 ounces of dry lemon balm, Melissa officinalis. You can buy this herb at a drugstore or health food store. A mortar and a pestle are equivalent so that you can reduce the plant to powder. A manual tool is a preferable choice as electric grinders are not appropriate for this work. About 300 c of wine alcohol like cognac, armagnac, brandy, or any other wine alcohol. Any alcohol which does not come from the wine is absolutely excluded from this experiment. A glass funnel. Some absorbent cotton is used in surgery. A ceramic dish which can resist very high temperatures. This dish is going to be used for calcinations. Borosilicate glass like Pyrex is not resistant enough to stand such heat. On the other hand, coarse porcelain may be used. The lid can be made of something like Pyrex because at its top the temperature is lower. 1 liter of distilled water. A dropper, a water-resistant felt tip pen. A source of heat. Gas heat is preferred over an electric heat because it permits better control of heat intensity. If one does not have a Bunsen burner, a camping gas stove is adequate. Also, a lab hot plate may be used if no gas is available. There is no contradiction between the fact that in the theoretical part we affirm that the product used in alchemy must be alive, and that in the practical part we recommend that you use dry lemon balm to conduct your experiment. But note that dry seeds keep their germinating power, they contain the spark of life. On the other hand, from a purely practical point of view, you will notice that using dry plants facilitates the operations when you do not have large equipment and a specialized menstruum.